Good morning, folks. This is Danny at Bradley James Classics with his early Christmas present, which is of course the GoPro webcam. So I've been making a few GoPro webcam car reviews of cars that we've got in stock or we're selling, or sometimes ones that we own. I'm delighted to be starting this inaugural series with this particular car. This is a Jaguar Series 3 XJ6 from 1986 with 67,503 miles on. I'm delivering this one to a customer, and I've got to say, out of all of those XJs spanning the late 60s right up to the 2000s and beyond, there's something very special about the fuel-injected XK engine 4.2 fitted in this Series 3 era Jaguar. William Lyons knew exactly what he wanted when he commissioned this car. There was talk about fitting a V8. There was lots of talk about what that car could turn into. Obviously, North America being the biggest market. However, he fought to keep his delightful XK engine, and I'm glad he did, because there really doesn't feel like a better place to be in the world sometimes, other than behind the wheel of a Jaguar. At 70 miles an hour, it literally feels like you're almost not moving. It's such a smooth ride. And when you find an up-together one, 67,000 miles, I'm making this video in right at the end of 2017, it's, well, it's special. The YouTube comments seem to sort of err on the side of damning rather than supportive, but nevertheless, I'll always make these videos to help my customers out and help other people who are looking at cars make sure it's right for them. So the haters will always pick on the many challenges the Jaguars had during the British Leyland era, and prior to that, with some quality issues and some stuff that just wasn't up to scratch. And then you will have people who will say, well, of course I had one back in the day and it spent more time in the garage than it did on the road. But I've got to tell you, when you've got one sorted and it's up together, they are absolutely delightful. I've been one of the lucky ones because I've had really positive ownership experiences with Jaguars, and this one is absolutely no exception as I drive it up to Milton Keynes. Now, this car is very well appointed. It has the trip computer down there, it's got an electric sunroof, it's got air conditioning, cruise control, electrically adjustable seats, to name a few, and probably all. The cranberry red is, well, in fact, you know, I think they may have gone on to call it something different, but this red, which reminds me of my old Series 1 Cardinal red, is a beautiful shade for this particular car. The pepper alloys, the real chrome, and for me, I think this is probably the end of the era for Jaguars building those very, very special cars. I love this skinny little leather-bound steering wheel. This is pre-sort of airbag steering wheel, which came a little later. Recently had a virtually identical car, except it was the V12. Now, that was exceptional, and I would arguably say that's one of the finest cars ever built. There's something about the V12 in these cars that are, well, are very special. So, what else can I tell you about this particular one? It's been obviously off the road for a little while, and it was recommissioned very nicely. This car rides on lovely bushes, the brakes are delightful. The gearbox, we've done a little bit of work with this gearbox because the gearbox was suffering with the typical Borg-Warner sort of slight snatchiness or wanting to surge forward a little. Now, this is an early 60s gearbox. I believe it's about 62, could be earlier. So it's been around a long time, and obviously by 1986 it was getting quite long in the tooth. You really needed to wait to the X300, I think, with the ZF gearbox with all that fuzzy logic to get something super smooth. And then of course you started moving on to sealed for life gearboxes that only specialists really got involved in changing oil in. But this one, after some adjustment, which is actually the throttle valve can get tuned, and also you can just turn down on the fuel injection system the idle a little because it was running a little fast. And if you get into that situation, you will find these cars do surge a little. Certainly when you put it into drive and you put it into reverse. So those two eventualities needed tuning in this car, and it made quite a difference. As I'm wafting up the road, I'm doing that sort of 60-70 miles an hour, middle lane of the M3. It really is, in my opinion, the car to do distance in. So civilised. They do, this particular one is massively original. It's had a bit of paintwork and it's had its sills replaced and various other work to keep it in tip-top condition. It does suffer with a little of the cracking in the walnut veneer, especially around the trip computer and then the panel that has the heated rear window. There's a part of me that likes to keep cars with a little patina, and I know that word gets overused a little, but I quite like the fact that these seats are, where are we, you know, 30 odd years old, and they are in this sort of great shape. I love the contrasting colours that we used inside a Jaguar, so classy, and I think the red with this sort of oatmeal really is a beautiful colour combination. Well folks, I've been going for 6 minutes now. I haven't told you the full history of the Jaguar S3, but while I've still got this one, I wanted to take a little video and talk a little about it. I've got a feeling the customer is going to be absolutely delighted with this car. Thankfully he's a gentleman who's owned classic cars in the past, so the odd quirk of going out to your lovely classic on that lovely summer's day, turning the key and realising the battery's flat, or there's an irritation, I think it's well within his understanding. But I've got to tell you, when these cars are set up and running lovely, they really do take some beating. For me, they're like the usable version of a Rolls or a Bentley. I find the proportions very agreeable, the way they waft along, the fact that you can, if you want to, sit out there on the fast lane and do scary stuff. But for me, these are a car to put the radio on and have a listen to what life is playing you. Oh, I'm afraid to say that sounded a little like something from Madame Butterfly, slightly out of tune, but it's a period Jaguar radio, so don't tell me you was expecting miracles. It's Danny at Bradley James Classics signing off. It's been a pleasure to record this little blog. Thanks folks.